Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi everyone, it's Chatting with Nat. Yes, it's Natalie Jean. Today we have the honor of having singer-songwriter Hannah Judson. Hannah Judson is an internationally touring indie music singer-songwriter. Boneyard Records. You see, I just woke up right. Music festival producer, MUSEfest, and podcaster. The Hannah Judson Beat. Born and raised in coastal Maine, she came out of the Chicago indie music scene of the 90s. In 2005, she moved her home base to a small village on the Seine River, south of Paris. I should know how to say Seine. I speak French. All right, let's give her a warm round of applause for Hannah Judson.
Excellent. That was really nice.
My two little hands are not going to make it to give you that big applause that you deserve.
Well, that was very nice. Very nice intro. So, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm still breathing. So that I guess that I made it through the night, which is good. And how are you doing? This pandemic. In this pandemic world?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So yeah, pretty good. So right now, just to like set the stage. So I'm in my afternoon. Like I've already kind of had my work day. I've already gone to the local swimming pool. I swam for an hour. I've come back. I've got wet hair right now, so you can't see me, but. So I'm feeling pretty good, especially with that swimming in. So your task right now, it sounds to me like you're just still in your morning waking up coffee mode right now. So I'm kind of on the other end of the workday. But like as far as the pandemic goes, it's so weird, and I find it hard to actually put words around because sometimes it's like truly okay. Like on a minute by minute basis, it's like, okay, I have work to do. I work online. I work remotely. I have worked remotely for years. I've got tons of musical projects going on, all sorts of interesting things happening, all sorts of interesting connections. And I'm, keeping that going. I've got, everybody in my small world is healthy. Nobody has been ill, and and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm, I keep that in my, at the front of my thoughts every day, that really in this past pandemic on a personal level, nothing bad has happened, but it's like it's hard to even, I have many things to say about this, but like throughout the pandemic, I've been writing songs, and I've been writing songs about a lot of different things, but I also, it's in the environment that's very hard to describe. It's foggy, it's thick, it's hard to move in, it's hard to know what the future brings, it's hard to daydream about the future. And it's not just the pandemic. Like we have this horrible pandemic going on. And I think it's interesting because we had a horrible pandemic in 1918 also. We've done this before, multiple times throughout history. We had the Black Plague that went on for 100 or so, more than 100 years. It traveled, it took, it ran its course in different places and different times. But we've seen this thing before, but we also have such explosive things happening on Earth, right? We've got social explosions, for better and worse, both. And we've got volcanoes going off all over the world. Like, I don't know if you're following this, but there's volcanoes everywhere. And we've got bizarre weather, and we've got kooky Brexit, which is happening over here on this side of this, I'm on the France side of the channel, but we're watching all this really bizarre stuff going on where, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. No, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's just like so difficult to watch happen. And a million other things, and things going on in China, and things going on in Hong Kong, things going on all around the world are hard to handle. So we're in a moment where there's so much good because people are good, right? I think 90% of the people, that's my statistic. 90% of people are really good. 10% you got to deal with. But so people are good, and interesting things are happening, and technology is fascinating, and art and music, and the human spirit. That we're so good at that. That's what we do. That's like our best offering. But we've got like the worst going on right now also. So how am I? I'm fine.
In a nutshell, you're like, yes, I am fine. As I tell people all the time, the pandemic, I woke up the other night and I'm just like, are we really living in this mess? It's just very surreal, because you always hear about this stuff that happened years and hundreds of years ago. So you never think that this could happen now. And so you're sitting and you're just like, am I going to wake up and this was all a bad dream? No, that's the sad part. But also there were like positive and also bad stuff that happened. I mean, there were a lot of deaths. People got sick. I even got COVID and I got sick. I didn't have to go to the hospital, but it was bad for me. Still bad for me. But the earth, climate change. The trees, the nature was just like, oh, there's nobody in the street. I can breathe. The animals ran free. The animals were probably, where are all these people? I mean, they're stuck in their house. What are they doing? Families were just like, that worked all the time. People just said, I'm putting back on work because I've missed out so much on family time. These are the positive things that have come out of COVID, obviously, all over the world. You had the George Floyd, people were marching and stuff like that. People came together. Yes, and at the core, I believe there's a lot of good people. But at the same time, in the past 6 years, you've seen a lot of horrible people come out of the woodworks. It's just cool. So, and then I think, go ahead.
Well, no, I don't want to interrupt you. Go on. I'll follow after you.
Go ahead. No, you can go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so you're like, the horrible people crawling out of the woodwork, and I feel like we're in this pocket of time where their fans are flamed. Their flames are fanned. And we've seen, again, historically, we've seen that before. We saw that in, Second World War, where people who normally were, unnoticeable suddenly are aggressively becoming potential murderers or actual murderers. I mean, it's something, it's like, the good thing is we humans are not individual, isolated, unique, separate. The good thing, at our best, we are connected. We are part of broader ecosystems, bigger than ourselves. But when it goes awry, you get this massive upswell of really bad ideas, of really bad, the worst of people. So,
I think that during this time, a lot of people have been thinking about their lives and how they want to live their lives. Obviously, we knew that was short. The pandemic really made us really realize that life was short. And so I think a lot of people took time to self-reflect about their careers. Like, we're in the music business, so thought about everything and how they want to be perceived. And some people have quit their jobs. They're just like, I need to be happy, which kudos to them. So did you take the time to self-reflect about how you want to be perceived in your art? Did you, are you thinking about changing the way you write? Do you want to be a more effective player in life? Did you think about these things?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know if I ever sat down and thought about how I want to be perceived or remembered per se. I think maybe I'm thinking about those things along the way. And I'm not sure yet. Maybe I need more distance on this, but I'm not sure how my thinking has changed during the pandemic in terms of my own self-reflection and my own art. Like, I have pivoted. I have definitely made changes. but I still have the same day job that I had before the pandemic. But everything is in flux. All work is in flux. Every single human being's job is potentially in flux. Although people, either everything will continue the way, it'll continue, or there'll be something explosive and a lot of people will lose their jobs. Who knows? I have no idea. But I think one of my sort of pandemic discoveries has been actually podcasting. It turned into podcasting, but it wasn't supposed to be podcasting. But I started reaching out to friends of mine, creative friends of mine, women, and it was a very casual project. But I just said, come online, and we'll have a conversation. Let's have drinks together, coffee together, wine together. So it started out just like that, and pretty soon I realized I was sort of interviewing them. And so I just kept it going week after week. I would have a different guest. And then in January of this year, I launched an official podcast. But these podcast conversations I've been having that's been absolutely changed in terms of just building a network, reaching out to people I wouldn't ordinarily reach out to. So I started with my own community, people I knew very well, and I just sort of went out bigger, and still keep looping in my personal friends also. So it's like, the need to be connected, whether you live in New York City or you live in Los Angeles and you're in the middle or the thick of it, or London, wherever the middle of the world, the center of the universe is for you. Either, you might, physically be bumping into everybody, because your lifestyle is so connected. But even when we're at home, it's really important to be connected. And it's a balancing act, because people at work are on Zoom all day long, and and not all meetings are important, or sometimes meetings are way too long, or so you can be extremely tired of maybe either unimportant connections or sort of fake connections. But I was needing real connections. I found through podcasting that I was able to really connect with people, by asking them questions about their art, about their creativity, about their process, and their experience during the pandemic. And it just led to all sorts of different conversations, based in music, I'm interviewing and talking to women in music specifically, but I needed that so much, like that network. So that was one of my thoughts, was that I'm not isolated, and whether the course of my career goes to the right or goes to the left or goes straight forward, or whatever it looks like in the next years that I'm doing this professionally, I am very clear that it is not just me doing it. It is my ability to create a network and to work together with other people. That's what I do.
I guess that, I've learned I love the podcasting, because I've learned a lot about many different people and what they've been through life, and especially in the music world, because my God, go on in that music world. You can meet wonderful people, and then people can try to scam you, and then you learn about all these tools, and then you learn about how hard this business is. It's very fascinating to me, and all have a lot of the same things that have happened to us in life, and how we've tried to get music in different places, and how we're perceived, and what we want to be perceived, and what we want to do with our music. So it's been fascinating. Now, for you, did you do any live streaming during the pandemic?
Yeah, I have to say, in the first year of the pandemic, I did some things on other people's stages at different clubs, and I did some live streaming from my studio, just my own thing. But I really don't like the quality of the sound of the live stream, and I stopped doing it. It was not enjoyable. For a while, I was trying to do a live stream every week. I just was, experimenting. I participated. I have a friend in New York who at the very beginning of the pandemic put together a 7-day art and music festival with literature and music and all this stuff. And I was really inspired by that. And I have a festival that's normally live. It's normally in person. But so in December of last year, I put together a 2-day Women in Music Festival online. And so the quality of sound was okay, and I had learned a lot of things along the way, and I was able to give tips for sound quality. And I'm sure there's much more to learn about it, but there's nothing like live music.
Right. No, definitely. I mean, I did it. I was working with B Squared Management. They're like, oh, we should do this, blah, blah, blah. It was an interesting, it's interesting because sometimes you can have a lot of people. Sometimes you can have two, sometimes singing to yourself, which is fine because I love me. I can sing to me. And it helps to, practice my music and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So
it keeps you going.
It keeps you going. So that was interesting. Now, what type of music do you do? I know that you're an indie music singer-songwriter, but what is your music all about?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I do ask myself that also. I think that so my music is folk rock. That would be the general umbrella it goes under, but it really ranges from, and the things that inspire me are massively varied. I'm not in a particular niche in my brain. I listen to all sorts of different things. I think about all sorts of different things, but I do have a folk sensibility that is a little quirky. I also have serious rock sensibility so those two things come out. So my songs can be pretty stripped down and bare bones, along the lines of earlier Cowboy Junkies or Mazzy Star, or Low, some bands like that were really, really like stretching out the sound. And so I can have these moments of minimalism and sort of emotional intensity, but I also like rock music. And I listen to Liz Phair a lot. She's sort of my North Star in terms of the things she's referencing in her songs. I have a feeling like I understand her songwriting process a little bit, just from having listened. I get her, I think, and really like what she does. And she's got a great rock and roll soul, and a very unique presence. And she's 100% doing her own thing. And so my rule for myself is I can do what I want. Obviously, I can do what I want, and so it can evolve, and it should evolve. I have a song that my parents listened to a lot of music, so I grew up in a house with a variety of music going on all the time, from classical music, from Baroque music, medieval music, a lot of stuff from the 50s and 60s and 70s, and new stuff and new music, so experimental music, electronic music, different stuff. They were listening to that stuff. Yeah. And they had in their kitchen a reel-to-reel. They had a record player in another room. I used to listen to their records. But they had a reel-to-reel in the kitchen. And I remember a reel-to-reel of Gordon Bach, who's a folk singer from Maine. And he had a song that that he sang that I always thought he wrote. And I researched it recently because it was running through my head. And he didn't write it. It's actually an old folk song from the 1600s that Arlo Guthrie took and rewrote and wrote rewrote a little bit, and then Bob Dylan took it, and there's a version of Joan Baez singing it, and it's called "I'm a Rambler and I'm a Rambler, I'm a Gambler." And when I was a little kid, I had this song, "I'm a rambler, I'm a gambler, I'm a long way from home," and it's a fantastic, rough story of an individual who's really going their own way. And even as like a little girl, I loved that song. And so I took out my guitar and I Googled, some different versions of it, and I listened to Joan Baez singing it, and I've sort of made my own version of it. And I wrote my own verse. There was a Woody Guthrie verse. I was like, that doesn't relate to me at all. Right? I don't want to say those things. So I flipped it around a little bit, but that's total folk. But I think that's what folk is. Folk music travels through time, and people do it their own way for their own purposes. It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's not exactly like, but with hard science, scientists are working on ideas. They figure something out, they publish it. Other people read their results. Other people try to mimic their results, and then they build on them. And I think folk music and music in general works in a very similar way. So I don't do covers a lot because I'm too busy trying to figure out my own songs. But every now and then I'll pull out a cover. So I'm working on that super folk song right now.
Now, what was it that really made you want to get into the music industry? What was that whoa moment where you're like, music is me, I need to do this?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I never really thought about the music industry or music business until relatively recently. But like in the beginning, I just knew that I wanted to play in a band, and I knew that I was writing songs, and I knew I wanted to do something with my songs and pull other people in on it. And when I got my first band together, I was living in Chicago, and I pretty much actually everybody I knew was in a band. Everybody was in a band, so it wasn't like I was joining or thinking about an industry. I was just doing what everybody was doing. Everybody knew was an artist and in a band. It was Chicago in the 90s was so much fun. It was a city that had not like tamped itself down yet. It had not lost its soul yet. It was not all about real estate. In fact, there were areas that were still pretty bombed out, and it was a place that was a huge city, wide streets, big apartments. In the 90s, not so expensive. So for people really getting started, it was a great place to be bopping around. And the music scene was super cool. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to play your song Parachute. Tell me what that's about.
Oh yeah, so Parachute. So that is off my last record, Stingray. And Parachute, I kind of like the song because it's about jumping, leaping. It's about taking a chance. It sort of tumbles metaphor to metaphor. It's not a story about a particular person, but it's about letting go of some things and falling into others. So it's a pretty optimistic song, which I don't always do. So yeah.
All right, let's play it.
Call it love. Oh.
It's a fun song. I like it.
Thank you. That was fun to listen to. So I haven't listened to that record for a while now, and that was really fun to listen to. I have to say, I recorded it with J.L. Espada, my producer, in Sacramento in the summer of 2019. I have to think back, like, what year are we in? It's a blur now. But it's summer of 2019, and so the days that we were recording it was a heat wave, and it was like 102 degrees, 103 degrees. It was super hot. And but although we were in this recording studio that had air conditioning, everything I played really slowly. And so that song I actually played much faster than that. That's like, to me, that's like a really like stretched out version of this song. It's like it's in molasses a little bit.
Now, what do you enjoy most about being an artist?
So, well, there's so many pieces to being a creative person, and being a creative person isn't always just your craft, just the thing you do, like just music. It's like the way you put your life together, or the way you organize, all sorts of things, or the way you perceive things, or the way you visualize the future, the way you maintain your optimism in spite of things swirling around. So what do I enjoy most about being an artist? I think it's being in the brain space of being an artist. So it's not just a particular activity. Like I enjoy meet and greet after a show. I enjoy that. I enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy the whole process. I enjoy writing songs. I enjoy writing. I enjoy trying to figure out social media and which at its base is about trying to connect with people. And I enjoy trying to make connections authentic and not just be one more noisy noise out there. I enjoy all of that, but I do enjoy the brain of an artist, which I have, which I probably always did, but it's a choice. Because you can let it go. You can lose it. You can just say, well, I'm just going to be a little bit more practical, and I'm just going to approach things much more pragmatically, and I'm just gonna spend more time thinking about, I don't know, what I think everybody else is doing. But I think that when you have an artist's brain, you recognize the responsibility to your own thought process and to your own, to your own output, and you can't be too concerned about what you think other people are thinking, or what you think other people think you should be doing. That has no part of it. I think an artist's brain is open, is receptive, manages information carefully, gets rid of and blocks damaging and harmful information, and keeps it out. So it's sort of like creating it's about creating a functional workspace in your head, in your brain. I'm clearly not a scientist. I'm like just talking about this brain space that is like creating. So the artist brain is slightly a sacred space, as is everybody's brain, of course. But if you're going to allow ideas to come in and to transform themselves, the ideas.
Right. No, yeah, correct. You're 100% correct. How important is it for you to be an authentic artist? We have a lot of people, some people just want to get into the music business for fame and all that stuff, and they want to chart, win awards, and that's fine. That's your thing. Yeah. But like myself and many others, we want to be an effective player in life. We want our music to make a difference. We want, our music to really resonate with the audience. And one of the things I learned during the pandemic, after watching so many webinars and conferences on music, is that people love authenticity. And I did a webinar on TikTok, and they said the best videos, the videos that have the most views, are people that are being authentic. People want to see the realness. They want to see truth. That's what they want to see. After the past 6 years, going back and forth, and is this true, this not true, and stuff like that. People want to feel connected to something that's real. So what do
you think what is it? What is truth? Like, what is authenticity? What is the thing that people see in a TikTok video or on a video or in social media or live on stage? What are people understanding as authentic?
So on TikTok, there's so many different videos. There's a variety, but it's when those people sit. It could be somebody crying or telling them they're going through something. Those are the authentic moments. It's not that they have music in the background or they're doing a duet or a stitch or whatever that encompasses TikTok, but it's more about somebody just sitting down and telling you what they are going through. Or they could be telling you what music they love, or they could be talking to you about being a mom or being a sister or just being. And how life has affected them, and they said those are the authentic moments. Or it could be somebody dancing, just dancing to the song, and they're showing you their joy.
Yeah, I like that. Do you know? I think that at its best, music specifically, like when somebody's listening to music, when you're listening to music and you have a transcendent moment, just as a listener, it's because you feel something, you feel an emotion. Right. That music has triggered an emotion. And I think, so maybe it's that the person talking, the person dancing, their presence is not fake. It's not going through a filter. It's not about what other people think. It's direct, and it creates an emotional response in the viewer. So is that what authenticity is? Is that it? Authenticity is like a beeline of emotion. Like it's like a main line of emotion. It's like
not giving into the pressures around the world to being something that you're not. It's about listening to your inner intuition and doing your own thing. It's even in the music world. Obviously music is subjective, and I think a lot of people forget that. They get upset when their music is not placed or it's not on the radio, or you put it in a songwriting contest and it doesn't win. I've entered so many contests where songs didn't get anything in one, and the same song won something in another.
That's super subjective.
It's not caring about what people think, but just being you.
Yeah.
Just being you and accepting every aspect of who you are in all its glory. You can have flaws, you can have stretch marks, you can have so many things, but you're just your authentic self. You're not trying to change any part of you to make somebody else happy.
Okay, that's key thing, what you just said, that you are not changing yourself to make another person happy, although it's the same thing. You can transform, make changes to make yourself happy, to make yourself, so you're, because we're at our best, we are always sort of moving and grooving and changing on the inside. Like we're like, moving idea to idea and hopefully improving ourselves or transforming, but you might have a season where you don't improve yourself. You actually slide back a little bit, but but when it's you reflecting on you, that's one thing. But making changes to make somebody else happy, I'm like, I'm not going to swear on this radio show, but that.
I love. So I'm all about authenticity. I'm a person that I speak my truth. I mean, I try not to be mean. Unless somebody pushes me to the point of, I'm not mean, but I'm very direct. And I'm not, because for a long time for myself, I used to be a people pleaser when I was a lot younger. And oh my God, when I grew out of that, I really set myself free. So I'm not, what you see is what you get, basically.
Well, see, that's very easy. That's good for you, because then you don't have to worry about it. Then it's like you don't have to second guess yourself, because it's clear. You are clear with yourself. But that thing that what you just said about being a people pleaser and then letting go what other people think, that is one of the most important things to do.
Yeah.
And because because it's a clog in your head. It becomes like having chewing gum in your brain. You have to, it makes things harder. And it's a problem. Yes. I think that's a central activity to progress through adulthood. I mean, if you have brought that trait into adulthood, is to just get rid of what other people think.
Amen.
And the other thing is because you will find your people. Once you are clear with yourself, your people will find you and you will find them. So It's already a done deal. It's not like there's something to worry about or to worry about being alone or worry about that you're going to make a mistake or that you won't have done the right thing. Your true self will do the right thing.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Yeah.
So we're going to play the song Water Me Down.
Oh, okay. So this is an example of so this song is a little bit more chill than what we heard before. Okay. And I think that this particular version of the song, the recorded version, is a little bit more rocking than actually how we play it live. Okay. When I first wrote this song, it was very minimal and emotional. And so it's been amped up a little bit. But Water Me Down, actually, I have to tell you, the first kernel of inspiration for this song was a painting that I was looking at by Giotto, who is a transitional artist. He was late medieval, early Renaissance Italian painter who was painting. I haven't thought about this painting in a while. I forgot this story, but this is how this song started. He has this painting called now I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's a painting where it's Catholic, it's religious, those were the things he was being paid to paint. And Right. It's where the Holy Family has buried Jesus and they've gathered around his grave. And rather than just painting a symbolic version of this, which is what would have been painted in the Middle Ages, where everything was symbolic, it was frontal, flat, he painted this family gathering around a grave of somebody they loved, and they were in mourning. And in the sky, the angels are grieving, and they're moving in different directions, and they're individual angels, and they're dynamic, like they're angels, but they're also sort of like dynamic stars. But the family, when I was looking at this painting, which is so old, so from another era, I was thinking every single family goes through loss and grief together at some point. And that it's biblical story, it's an old thing, but the emotion that transitional late Gothic, early Renaissance artist was able to create something so universal, nothing to do with biblical story. It had everything to do with humanity. That's like the essence of the Renaissance, really, is that it's about our human experience. So I was thinking about that, about loss and togetherness and that experience. And I wish I could remember the name of the painting. It's not in the Annunciation. It's one of those things that happened. I forget. I'll look it up and I'll tell you. But look up Giotto, Giott, Giotto. Oh, and you'll find this will be one of the paintings you find. Family around a graveyard, angels grieving in the sky. Gorgeous, stunning, emotional painting. And in my song, my version of the song, as I was writing it, every time I sort of got off track, I would just look at that painting again, just to remember that sense of communal family grief and transcendence. Because at the end of the day, ideally, there is transcendence also.
Amen to that. Let's play the
There's much more left to say.
beautiful.
Thank you. So while we were listening to that, I looked up the name in English. It's Lamentation, the Morning of Christ. Lamentation by Giotto is the painting that sparked that song.
I will definitely look that up. So what's coming up for you?
So what's coming up? So I've got all these songs that are in various states of completion from the pandemic era. And what's coming up is I'm figuring out how to record them. I normally work with my producer who lives in Sacramento, California, and normally I've been going to California every summer and doing some shows and working with my producer Jay Espada at Boneyard Records, but obviously that didn't happen this summer, although I may be going in the fall and we might be able to eke out a couple of songs. I'm also figuring out ways to set up a production system where I am here working with my own band to do some recording ourselves. We each have a variety of skills. Nobody has a full studio, so we'll have to see exactly how it goes. But I think it's really important to record and release because it allows you to move forward, really, and it marks your work in time. And so what might be happening, I've always sort of recorded like little albums or little EPs, but I think what I might do is just release songs one at a time for a while, and that might be 2 years of releasing songs one at a time, and at the end gather them all up and put out a record. I think that's probably what's coming up. But what else is coming up? So I've got some thoughts around MUSEfest, which is my music festival that amplifies women in music and the arts. And last year's festival was online. And I'm thinking this year's festival will be towards the end of the year and will also be online. And I'm thinking it can be, since last year I really learned how to do it online, this year it's going to be a little bit bigger with probably some different kind of activities, maybe some panel discussions, more things going on, but definitely continuing to amplify amazing women who are doing, great work. So that's important to me. So I've got that coming up. I've got some other things. I've got other, but I have to remember this weekend I've got on my podcast, I'm going on my podcast, a couple of guests ago, I interviewed Beth Whitney, who's a singer-songwriter from the Pacific Northwest. And at the end of our conversation, she said, "This is so interesting. Can I interview you?" So this podcast, which is going to be on Saturday, I do a live stream and then I release the podcast later. But on the live stream on Sunday, Beth Whitney is going to be interviewing me on my podcast. That's coming up. I don't have any shows coming up, but I'm thinking about it. And I'm thinking that it might be easier to book shows in the U.S. where things are a little bit more open, except that, I don't know. Where are you located?
I'm in Maryland.
You're in Maryland. So what's the scene there? Like, is it true? I mean, I'm seeing the artists who I follow in the U.S., people are booking shows and are touring again. People are moving around. What do you think?
In the U.S., definitely. People are bars are opening up with performances and people are touring. Even large venues are opening up more. But at the same time, the mask mandates are coming back because of the Delta variant.
Yeah.
But people are going out and doing their thing. We have to doing things. There won't be a shutdown in the United States. People were tired of that. We just have to be vigilant. I mean, I don't. Well, vaccinate. There's a lot of people that are still not vaccinated. I can understand why. I'm not a vaccinated. I don't like that whole idea of vaccines. I'm not into it, but I did get vaccinated because I just want the world to open back up. It's just been crazy. We just have to, moving and see what happens. This whole pandemic variant stuff is getting on my nerves.
For sure.
One day it's gotta end. But you're in France. How's the music scene over there?
Well, things are shut down still, and so people are booking gigs and shows are being booked, but things are also being canceled at the same time. It's still optimism canceling, and so it's kind of hard to know. And then borders are open, but not open necessarily to America. It's complicated for America. Like I have a French passport, so it's different. But for Americans who want to come here and tour, it's extremely complicated moving from country to country. So anyway, I am thinking that I'll put some shows together in the U.S. maybe towards the end of this year.
Awesome. And hopefully things will be a lot better, damn it.
Yeah.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat. I've enjoyed our conversation. I've learned so much.
This was super fun. Thank you for asking questions and then letting me talk and talk. That was fun. Much needed.
Oh, my God. I know. We need moments like this. We need to get to know new people and have other people, that I can go to on Spotify and listen to your music and just feel joy and contentment. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll be following you and watching your journey in the music world, and hopefully one day you can do a live stream and we'll have a great time.
Yeah, we should do a live stream.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a live stream. Let's do an IG live.
Yeah, so we should do a Chatting with Nat live stream concert.
Yeah, why not? We could do
why
that.
Why not?
Because we have a StreamYard, so we could perform on that and do our
Totally.
thing.
I totally use StreamYard. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So we've got a project. Very nice. I'm glad we got some work done today.
Right. Yes. Let's do it. So have a great day and have a great week. And thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat.
Yeah, my pleasure. This was a blast. So we'll talk to you soon. We've got some planning to do.
That's right. We're going to do it because that's who we are.
Exactly.
Getting it done. All right, everyone. This was Chatting with Nat with the amazing singer-songwriter Hannah Judson. Until next time on Chatting with Nat.
Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.